Hey model fans, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video, and welcome back to what's going to be another model review, of course, from my collection. Now if you follow for a little while, you'll know that I've kind of teased this, that I'm going to be doing this one. I've showed it in a couple other videos, and well, I'm going to be showing off my 296 model from BBR today. And just before we start, I just want to say I'm trying something a little bit different with the setup and everything, and hopefully the lighting's a little bit better. So let me know down in the comments if this looks any better than the past videos, or if I should go back to the way it was in the other videos. It's an easy switch to make back. But yeah, without any further ado, let's jump right into the review of the 296. So here we go. Here is the 296 GTS from BBR. This one here finished in blue Corsa. Of course, the GTS being the convertible version of this. I do have another 296, but it's slightly cheaper in Maisto, which I'll show in another video. But basically, again, if you guys know what the 296, this was the launch spec for the car. And I always knew that I wanted to get a blue Ferrari. I actually thought that I might get an SF90 model in blue. Still might down the line, you never know. But pretty much when I saw Ferrari launch this car, I already thought the 296 looked awesome. And then BBR announced that they were going to be launching this model basically in the launch spec to match. And so I just knew I had to grab this one as soon as I could. So again, yeah, finish here in blue Corsa, which is a awesome blue metallic paint. The paint finish on this is just finished really well. I'm sorry, there might be a few finger marks or smudges on here from me moving the model into position, but apart from that, the paint work is flawless. Again, if you guys have ever seen the 296 in real life, the detail on these is amazing, but given the higher price point, which we'll cover a little bit later, you would expect the quality to be high. Hopefully the camera will pick this up, but we have carbon fiber on the wheels. We have carbon fiber, a little bit of a little front splitter piece there. We have carbon fiber for the side skirts. If I get a bit more light on there, we can see a little better the carbon fiber wheels that it has and the carbon fiber over the entirety of the rear diffuser. And of course, as I said, the carbon fiber on this is awesome. It looks very, very realistic. But again, for the higher price point of one of these, you'd expect that. Now, it wouldn't be one of my reviews. Of course, I'll give you a couple stats on the car. So, of course, the Ferrari 296 is the latest entry-level Ferrari that they currently make. It has a brand new V6 twin-turbo engine, also mated to some electric motors, so a total output of 819 horsepower. So despite the fact that you might think, oh, V6 turbo hybrid doesn't sound that good, things definitely no slouch having 819 horsepower. Let's round up, call it 820 horsepower. This thing definitely packs a punch. Of course, all that power is sent to the rear wheels, so it's completely rear-wheel drive. And of course, as I just mentioned, it is a hybrid, so you can also run it in full e-drive mode as well if you guess how you want to sneak around the neighborhood or crawl through town in silence. But then as soon as you fire up that engine, you're going to have all the noises. And despite, again, it being a V6, these things do actually sound really good in real life. Anyways, moving away from the real car for a second and focusing back on the model. Again, as I mentioned, the GTS is the convertible version, so this car is presented in full convertible form. There isn't any way to, pull the roof up or have a roof piece go on there as well. Obviously, if you want that, you'll have to go and buy the coupe. But other things I like with this model is the calipers are also in blue, basically painted blue to match. We have the nice Ferrari shield here, or the Scuderia shield on the side. If we move to the front end details are awesome. We can see kind of that new S-duct aero channel that the Ferraris are known for. Not as aggressive as in something like the 488 Pista, where it doesn't go right through the nose, but we can see how it has that little S-duct down there, which of course forces air under the car to help with downforce. Even down to the little sensors in the grille. Hopefully you guys can see that there's a slightly discoloration in behind the grille mesh. And while we're talking about the grille mesh, it is actually proper grille mesh. It's not just a cheap plastic or anything. It's actually a nice, well, I guess it is a plastic, but it feels like a much heavy duty plastic. I'm not sure if it's 3D printed or how they do that, but the mesh feel is amazing. The headlights on this, of course, are awesome, very accurate. You can even see right here where there's another aero channel, and again on this side as well. I guess slightly similar to what McLaren did on the 720, but of course, I'm sure Ferrari's system is much different. But again, the attention to detail on this, we can even see the mesh. Excuse me. We can see the mesh detail in behind there as well. And then even up here on the windshield, we can see the windshield wipers there are presented nicely. The interior is amazing on this. So not the most lively interior. It is just basically gray and black, but we can see there the model is equipped here with the Ferrari racing bucket seat. So we got the full bucket seat. Don't have the harnesses in here, which I know is an option on the real car. But again, that would be more something that you get on the Assetto Fiorano package. This GTS is just, I guess, what you would call the standard variant of the 296. And it might be a little hard to see on the interior, but the interior details are awesome on this. This is one of the models that really feels like, you know, they basically just took a real car off the road, shrunk it down to 1/18 scale, and put it for sale so anybody can just kind of buy it and put it in their cabinets. We can see all the details on the steering wheel, which I'll maybe zoom in a picture here so you guys can see a little better. But you have all the details on the steering wheel. We can see the Manettino on the right there, that little red button, of course. Hate it or love it, the new Ferraris have a lot of buttons on the steering wheel, which obviously allows for quick access while driving, so we can see all those represented there. Again, carbon fiber detail on the steering wheel and on the instrument cluster surround up above it. We can see there's a gray pinstripe that runs along the top, then onto the side, and of course on, hopefully you guys can see there, on the far side, right under here, basically under my finger in the shadow there, it has a 296 badge or plaque as it does in the real car. And we can even see, it's going to be a little hard to see on this camera, but there's even all the detail on the passenger screen, which is something Ferrari is known for, so that, you know, the passenger can have some control and can see what's going on, whether it be media or, you know, the rev counter as it's shown there. And then even down to the center console where we have we can see the Ferrari key is actually shown there. Of course, all the new cars have a slot so you can display your key. We can see that in there. And even just down to the instrument cluster. I mean, actually, I guess the one thing that isn't as super detailed in this as the rest is the actual, I guess, gear selector, if you will. Sorry about that, guys. The camera is losing focus. But you can see right there, basically right in front of my finger, is where that little gear selector is. And of all things in the interior, that's probably the least detailed, but even that isn't too horrible. I mean, I'm sure it'd be a lot of work to actually, you know, individually go in there and put like the reverse and drive buttons on in there. But again, the overall detail on this is awesome. Now, I've mentioned price before. The BBRs are pricey. You know, they range, well, at least here in Canada, and even if you look on the website, they range to about around the $600 mark. Now, of course, you might be able to find one for a little bit less, a little bit more. It just depends. But brand new, they're right around the $600 mark. Again, if you go on the website, everything's in euros, so if you convert it, it's all really relatively about the same. But you do get a lot of model for your money. I guess the one downside some people might say is it's full resin, so high details, but of course nothing opens up, which might be a little bit of a downside. But anyways, if we move to the back here a little bit, we can see again, beside the doors, there's more aero vents that feed air into the engine. We got the little, we got the little spoiler bridge here, which you get on both versions of the car, where, of course, in the convertible version, the GTS here, you can raise or lower the windows so you can hear more of that beautiful engine sound with the windows up, or you can open it for slightly more airflow through the cabin, and obviously this acts as a spoiler for the car. Now, again, we cannot open the engine bay in this, but we can see a little bit of the engine detail. We can see, I guess, either the turbos or the air inlets in there, and then the orange bits down inside there is, of course, the orange cables from the hybrid system that I mentioned before, which is pretty prominent in the Ferraris especially. But, you know, kind of a lot of these hyper supercars that have hybrid systems, if you see the orange cable, that's pretty much the dead giveaway to the fact that they have a battery in them. But, and again, it's actually really a good detail. You can't see a lot, but if you've ever looked inside a real 296 GTS, the engine in this car sits so low down in the bodywork for weight savings and everything, and no perfect balance, that really, even on the real car, unless you open up the engine bay, you don't really see that much because the engine sits so far low. So while it's maybe a bit of a downside on the model that you can't see it, it is fairly accurate to the real car because, again, it does sit so low. And then if we just finish off quickly, coming to the back, you can see wonderful details on the back as per usual with these models. Let's shine a bit more light. On here we can see the headlights are presented nicely. Again, we have that nice mesh detail on the back, center exit exhaust. I guess one downside is the exhaust isn't actually open. There is a piece of plastic in there that blocks it, but again, it's a little nitpicky. The detail on it is really well presented, so I guess I can excuse a little bit. It would be nice if the exhaust was open there, but it's still obviously presented very well. And again, as I was saying, you can see the carbon fiber detail there, hopefully on the rear diffuser. So if I flip it over there, we can see some of the underbody aero work. Again, we can see there how this little front piece will feed air down underneath the car, and then we can see all the little aero channels that move the air under the car for extra downforce, and I guess some more ground effects on this car, which is bordering on F1 technology. Also around here we can see the screw mounting points. So there's one at the back here, two at the front, because of course this model does come on a base with a protective case, which I will show in just a moment. But yeah, pretty cool to see underneath the car and see all the aero work. And I've never seen under a real 296, but I would imagine that the real one looks very much the same as this. So I'm going to say A+ detail to BBR for all the underwork, which is something that you probably wouldn't really see on a model unless you flip it over. So the fact that they actually put it in there and what I would just have to assume is accurate positioning and the way it looks, kudos to them. I guess, so if you saw my last video on the A12 review, or you've seen me talk about other BBRs and some of my trips over to my friend Keith's shop, one thing I've said before is a detail I like on the base. And by the way, here are the screws on the base. And again, they all come with this nice leather wrapped base. So you can use this to display your cars, or as I have with mine, you can take it off and display if you need more space in your cabinet. But we can see there we have the 296 GTS writing, again in the same, I guess, font that you actually find on the real car, which is also replicated on the actual model. We have the little embossed BBR logo there. You have the Ferrari Cavallino. And to get back to what I was saying about a detail that I like with all BBR models is that whatever color your model comes in, so of course in this case the blue Corsa is the same color that you're going to find on the stitching around the base of the model. So obviously here, blue car, blue stitching. With my 812, as I showed, of course my 812 is red, so red stitching. And then that, if you saw one of my last videos, that green 296, that green 812 Competizione Aperta that we saw at Keith's shop, it was a green painted car, so the stitching is going to be green. I guess it's also a good thing if you're looking for your bases quickly, maybe the base is just out. If you know what color your car is, you look at the base of your BBR model and you know, oh, okay, my 296 is blue, I have the blue case, the blue base, that's where it goes. And of course, as always on the BBR models, we get the plaque here for how many cars were made in the run and which number yours is. So I'm very lucky that I got a very low number. So of course you can see there, limited edition number 6 of 296 models. Now I'm not sure if that's 296 of just these, all the GTSs, or maybe just for blue ones. I'm not sure. The numbers for BBRs are, I guess, a little bit debatable at times, but just to quickly show off with the rest of the package, I won't go through the whole thing. If you saw my 812 video, you will have seen all the BBR packaging, but this white part here is just the protective sleeve that covers up the box, and then we get the fancy BBR red box with everything and the logo and everything. Your little sticker here that tells you what model and what color it is and how many limited pieces you get. If we open it up, it flops out nicely, and then here is our protective plastic case for the top. You get this nice as microfiber towel almost to protect everything inside the box from dust and damage. And yeah, as I mentioned, you can of course display your model right inside there if you have space, or if you're like me who has a cabinet which is just sitting over there. I'm not too worried about dust or it getting damaged, so I put it in there. So there we go. There's basically the quick overview of the car. Now, of course, obviously I bought the car, so I am in love with it. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think of this model. Again, I picked this one up from my friend Keith's shop, and I guess I do want to point out that at no point in time has Keith ever paid me to say anything nice about the shop or promote him. It's just I found him, we've become friends. He has great products. I generally enjoy shopping there with him, and he's become a good friend. So just purely out of, I guess, love for him is why I always mention him in my videos and comments and Instagram posts and everything. So Again, shout out to Keith for the model, and also big shout out to him for getting me such a low number. I guess if I do decide to sell this in future, that could make you maybe raise the value, but I don't think this model's going anywhere. I guess, so my overall rating on it, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. As much as I love the car, I love the model, there are a couple things, which again, I know are going to be super nitpicky, but again, as I said, full resin model means usually higher details, and of course at the higher price point you expect those details, but you do again lose the ability to open things like opening doors or even opening hood. So it would be nice that if they could do resin models a bit more with openings. They do have some, but again, some of those are even higher price point, or even rarer. But yeah, I'm gonna give this a solid 9 out of 10. Details are there, they're awesome. Again, there's little things like the little gear selector inside could maybe be a bit more detailed. I would maybe like to see the exhaust have an actual opening so it looks more like a functional exhaust. But again, solid 9 out of 10 for this model. Let me know what you guys think of it. Let me know if you guys have one of these in this same color or another color, or looking at getting it. I would definitely recommend, if you're a collector looking to add more Ferraris to their collection, that you do pick up a 296. But I don't want to ramble on too much longer, make this video too crazy. There's my review. As I mentioned, I do have another 296 by Maisto, so maybe at some point I'll do a review and actually a comparison between, a model that's on the very low end scale and obviously a model like this, which is at the very higher end scale of price, to kind of compare and contrast and see, which one is maybe better. But that's for a future video. Comment down below if you do, or if you want to see that and you do want to know. But as always, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel to see more. I'll be uploading a lot more stuff really soon, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.